I'm going to launch Maya, but I won't make you watch the whole launch process. When this pops up, it wants me to know if I want to open one of my previous scenes or to create a new scene. And down here it has the project. So Maya Tutorials is where I want this new scene to live. And this allows me to keep all the images and other assets together in a very complex project with multiple scenes. So starting a project and having your scenes saved there, very important. And that material about starting a project is in the wood crate tutorial video. So if you didn't follow that step, it's worth going back and looking at the first of those two. I'm going to create new. So right now it's unsaved, but when I save it, notice that I'm getting these pop-ups that show the key presses. When I save it, it goes to my Maya tutorial scenes, and I'm going to call this Hypershade and save as. So this is an empty scene. I'm going to create some lights so that when we render, I won't have to worry about that. So that's under Create, Lights. I'm going to use directional lights again. Remember that the position of these lights don't matter so much as their direction, but I will move them out of the way so that we won't get confused with the objects that'll be in the middle of the scene. W is my move tool. E is my rotate tool. I'm going to rotate these lights kind of down. Remember that all these represent an infinite array of parallel rays of light. I'll create another for the other side of the object. And again, where I put them in the space is not nearly as important as what direction they're pointing for these particular kinds of lights. I think I made those. The first one shine from above, so these will shine from below. So now I have two sets of lights, but they're difficult to see. But I can find them in my outliner. Outliner should appear over here, and the way to find it is under Windows, Outliner. Now I have been fooling around with the outliner, and I've pulled it out, and I want to stick it on the side where I feel like it belongs, but it doesn't seem to want to go there. So I'm going to close this. I can put it at the top here, but that's way too clunky for me. I'll pull it out again by its tab, and I'll close this. And so sometimes you will have set up your workspace in some stupid way by accident, which happens to me all the time. This is your workspace. I'm in the modeling standard workspace. I can always reset the current workspace. And now under Windows, Outliner, there it is linked to the side. That's where I want it to be. And now once I've opened it, I can minimize it by just clicking on the tab. So the outliner shows me a directional light, and when I click on it, there it is, and another directional light, and it'll show me every object in the scene. And just to demonstrate that, I'll leave it open while I create a new torus, and there's the torus. I can just minimize this now. I'm going to rotate the torus. Maybe I'll rotate it towards us just a little bit. I'm going to scale the torus. You can see that R is the scale. Oops. E is rotate. W is move. So there's a torus. Now, last time we created, the lights only affect the render. Let's just render it. Last time we applied, I still have, I thought I did. Let's look at window. Yeah, somehow this has been unchecked. So I can still rotate my view in the renderer, and that's handy. I should have remembered, but anyway. So the lights help us see it in the renderer. Now, last time we created a new material. We did it like this. Right click, drag down, assign new material. I found Arnold and the AI standard surface. And here's my new material, AI standard surface. Here's color, And the checkerboard allows us to go find a file, or there's other options here, and not all of them would make sense to us, but I'm going to choose checker. Now I've applied the checker, but I'm not seeing it. Remember that 4 is wireframe, 5 is like smooth shade, and 6 is the material. So now I can use new materials and have built-in visual options. Notice how shiny this is. So the specularity is high. Okay, I don't really want that, so I'm going to undo, Control Z, until I'm back at the original material. I want to use instead something called the Hypershade. This is the Hypershade, this icon. There's other ways to get to Hypershade, but this is obviously right there. And, oops, let's see if I can't. Oh, I see. I attached it to the top here. Hypershade. I can pull it out. There we go. Now it's separate. I kind of prefer it like this. So this shows the Lambert and some particles and other light of other built-in options here. Standard, shader glow, etc. And there's the original Lambert. But I want to create a new material here, a new surface. Remember that? So I'll click into the untitled box here. This is where the graph, the Hypershader graph, will appear. So here's all this other Arnold stuff. But it's interesting to note that you can just click in here and hit Tab, and that gives you a field to enter text. Remember, it was AI standard SD. You don't have to type the whole thing because it will offer you options. And here's standard surface, and then it shows me a node-based input output. Here's the input output. In case here I might just see inputs, I might just see outputs, but this is input output. So from here I can create new materials and then manipulate them by adding I can manipulate them here. I'll show you what I mean. This shows the material that I've just created, and this is also tumbleable. This is Alt drag and Alt middle mouse pan, and I can, any changes I make here, I can examine them on this kind of simple complex model that's a built-in. So for instance, I can change the color to black. I could fool around with the specularity, etc. I could add a texture image. So you might be like, well, that was a complicated way to do something simple. But the thing is, we can get very complicated with the things we can do here. This is an output from this standard surface 1 to the surface shader, and we have that's on the right hand side, the outputs, and on the left hand side we have the inputs, and this button shows both outputs and inputs, right? So if you're not seeing both, this is the button, and it's got an arrow in and an arrow out. I can get new materials here. Again, just tab. Oh, that's not tab. Tab, there we go. And start writing checker. So here's the checker texture. That's what we want. And it's created this. We can move out a little bit. That's the wheel on my mouse. But let's move in again. So this is the checker texture, and it has a place to the texture 1, and it's plugged into to the checker. And if I click on the on this texture 1 here, I get some options. So for instance, I can rotate the frame. I can let's see here, how many times I repeat. It's 4x4. I can make this 8x4. It would turn. will give me the, or enter will give me the, plug that number in. So now it's repeat is 8 by 4. The offset, like I don't know, we can change that to 3. Not much difference. The noise, we can add some noise, and that's a lot of noise. But 0.5 is less noise, and so we get this crazy kind of liquid looking thing. We have we should have some color options. Let me find those. Yeah, so this is the this is like the way the texture is arranged, and this is the checker texture itself. And here we have color. So we have two colors in the checkerboard, white and black, but we could have instead pale green and black. That was the white, and here we can have maybe dark blue. And we can continue to manipulate these. So this is the checker texture, and this is how it's laid out on the sample. Instead of 8 by 4, we'll try 8 by 2. Not much difference. So we've got some crazy noise and swirly appearance, but it has not appeared on our model yet. Let's apply the checker texture and the layout of the UV, basically, of the texture to our texture. So we need an output from here. We just click this out alpha. No, let's do the out color. The alpha would be transparency, but the color here, and so notice some certain things light up. I can attach it to base color because it's an out color. It's a 3. In fact, let's look at this. It's 3 values, R, G, and B. That's just a drop down. So it only plugs into things that take 3 values, like specularity does not, right? But base color does. And immediately this gets applied to our example model. And we can see it there. And why is it not showing up here? Maybe we have to drag the let's find out. I see the issue. I created this new material in the Hypershade, but I never applied it. Here is the new material. We can use the middle mouse and drag it onto the object, and then it appears here. So now if I make changes to this, for instance to the colors, now it's pink and it's really getting kind of queasy looking. It should be updated. I didn't change it. I didn't accept the change. Here we go. There we go. So now it's changed, and it's changed here. So I had to middle mouse drag this new material onto the object. But now any changes I make update automatically. So this is just an introduction to Hypershade, and it's a much more sophisticated way of not only creating materials but applying them and then adjusting them on the fly, so I don't have to do it all over and over again in a bunch of steps. Once I have this set up, just notice that we have outputs from this is the layout, the UV layout, to the actual texture. This is like an image texture. It just happens to be one that's repeating. It's a tiled image. It's just built in. That goes to the base color, just like we changed the base color to an image before. And that comes out from this this new surface to the surface shader. So and there are other that's a surface shader. We can go to the volume shader and displacement shader, but that's all this stuff is just left open for new tutorials. The main thing is working in the Hypershader gives us a chance to manipulate, rapidly prototype and manipulate textures on any object.